Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Lost series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts,
Archlector George,
and Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
We are covering Before They Are Hanged, the second book in the original trilogy. And for this episode, we'll be finishing it up by covering A Fitting Punishment, The Abode of Stones, and Back to the Mud. So, let's get started. Again, we must thank you all for supporting us on this very long, tedious journey. We appreciate...
Tedious?
It's just like the book, isn't it? It's long, tedious, and ultimately pointless.
Yeah, none of the elements are used ever again.
And we just want to remind you all to please follow us on social media and our YouTube page and to visit our website. Greatly appreciated. So let's get started with our first chapter read through, and this is A Fitting Punishment. And for this one, it is actually not fitting. Joe misled us because we are in the Square of the Marshals with Superior Glocta.
It's actually not fitting. I see what you did there.
It's not fitting. So we're with Superior Glocta, and we're with his guest for the day's festivities, Artie. And they're here to see an execution, apparently. And
a particularly grisly execution.
Yeah, this execution is, how do I say, not fun.
No.
0 out of 10 would not recommend.
But apparently there's a full square of spectators just like fucking buzzing ready to go. They're ready to see this man get disemboweled.
Can you start that over again? You cut out.
Yeah. Well, I said apparently there's just like a full fucking square of people just absolutely anticipating this. They're just absolutely ready to go this. They really want to see this guy get disemboweled.
Yeah. A lot of people are really into this, apparently. Yeah, so what's he going to describe it for us, George?
So this is basically what they used to call hang, drawing, and quartering. So you basically get hanged enough to not kill you, but to like knock you out, and then they will cut you open and pull your entrails out, probably burned as well. While you're still alive, so yeah, it's pretty much like a torture death, and this is actually like based on a real thing that they used to do to traitors, and the amount of people that are coming out to see it is completely historically accurate as well. It used to be like public entertainment. Like people would come out and see this, like, come bring the kids, like, come on, guys.
Mommy!
Can we go and see the man get disemboweled today? No. We went last week.
It's always this, as you get older, you get like, you get disinterested. We always go to the same kinds of hangings. I want to see something new. I want to see beheadings.
Well, they're going to empty this one guy. Ooh, spicy.
Imagine, like, being, like up for execution, and there's just people there like come to watch you, and it's just like, what the fuck? It's so weird.
Imagine a couple of them like started like holding up judges' scorecards and like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So while Glocta and Artie are waiting, Severard, comes up to Glocta. He's like, hey man, did that thing that you needed, me to deal with Vitari. He followed her to a house. He's taking his time telling Glocta, and Glocta's getting really annoyed. He's like, out with it already. And then he goes, well, there were children in this house that I followed her to. It's like, children. Yeah, 3 little ones. And guess what color their hair was? And I
love how Glocta's like, you don't say.
And he's like, not flaming red by any chance? He's like, yep. So we know now that Practical Vitari has children, and that explains why she was so desperate to leave the Ghost Scout with Glocta, besides, saving her own life, because she has kids. And then, what else? Glocta tells Severard to also keep an eye to look for the guard that was patrolling or guarding Crown Prince Reynaud's room at the time of his murder, but apparently Severard can't find him. And the guard's family said they haven't seen him since the day before the moida. But Glocta's confused because he knows he saw him right outside the door that very evening. And he tells Severard to keep digging And Sephiroth's like, "Are you sure? Because like, did Salt really, ask us?" So he's like, Just go do it." And then at that moment, then the crowd, gets a little, rowdy, and that's because out comes our boy Tolkis. He's chained up and he's shuffling forward. He's not looking good. I mean, he looks sad. He's in some pain, but he's not like defiant. He's not crying. He's not doing any of that. He's just
It just looks
he,
sad, just a bit
he's just.
sad.
I think he's just resigned to his fate.
Mm.
Yeah. And he was completely naked except for a cloth tied around his waist. And like Glocta says, to spare the delicate sensibilities of the ladies present. Watching a man's entrails spilling out is excellent entertainment, but the sight of his cock, well, that would be obscene.
It's true. Actually, I would rather see someone's guts than their penis.
Oh God, yeah, that's hilarious. So yeah, Tolkis gets basically black bagged, chained up around his neck, his wrists, his ankles, and I guess they hoisted him up, spread eagled on a frame. And George, you want to take over this one again? You just want to?
Yeah, well, it goes
Right.
pretty much as you expect it to go. Like, we don't get a lot of detail here. We just get and began to cut, and then yeah,
And we don't hear him screaming because of the collar around his neck that chokes
yeah,
him,
that's
but not
part of the
enough to kill.
design of it.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
horrific. Well, actually, this isn't as bad as the actual real life version of Hagendraw and Quartering because they'd actually castrate you first.
What?
Yeah. So like in Braveheart, William Wallace
What?
and all that. So
Yeah.
they that's what they did. That's what they did to him.
Freedom!
They fucking castrated him and then gutted
Really?
him and then cut his head off while he was still alive.
Huh.
So that's a lot less
Well,
glamorous than they made it seem in the film.
Yeah, I thought drawn and quartering. I thought for them they, took off your limbs and then your torso and your head. They separated that, and I thought
Yeah,
they
they
just
cut
left
you
your
into
nut.
4 pieces, and then like your 4 pieces would go like on tours, like around the countryside, and everybody would be like, "Look at that! That's the last guy that tried to betray the king."
it's actually pretty
Ah.
smart. An ingenious design.
Yeah, it's quite
Yeah.
clever. It works. It works.
Eh,
We don't do that anymore.
All right,
No,
sure he doesn't.
no,
I don't
no,
know. New king of yours.
no.
But yeah, so Artie then turns to the Doctor and is just like, "Well, a fitting punishment, I suppose." And Doctor's like, "Well, actually, I'm pretty sure that the guy is innocent." And he's like, "Oh,
He's like, ah.
I do like how he is also at the beginning of the chapter. How he mentioned how he used to like take. He's like thinking of this as like kind of like some kind of weird like outing with Artie, like a date. And he's like, I used to take women to such nice places and then do whatever with them. And now I take them to do these things.
yeah."
Now I'll bring my ladies to murder and mayhem. And then so they after Glocta tells Artie that this guy did nothing. He did not kill Prince Reyno. He did nothing but just be a courageous man. I was like, oh, poor Tokus. And he says it's somebody like who killed Prince Reyno? It's somebody that wants no peace between Gurkul and the Union. Someone who wants the war between us to grow and spread and never end. Who would want that?
Who indeed?
Who indeed?
I love the
wonder.
implication of like of the plot that we already kind of know is there, just getting deeper.
Deeper and deeper. What else? So then there's a bit of a time jump. Glocta and Artie return to Artie's house. And Glocta has wasted no time in plopping his ass right in the sofa. Whereas Artie is like fidgeting, just looking out the window, and biting her lip. She's like, Jesus Christ. So she goes and she needs to go get a drink. She's like, I need a drink. And then she stops and she's like, aren't you going to say something? Like it's too early in the morning or whatever? Glocta's like, I don't give a shit. You know what time it is.
Yeah.
She's like, well, I need something. He's like, then have something. You don't have to explain yourself. I don't care. And she's like, fine. She just like puts the bottles away. She's like, happy? And he's like, I guess whatever. It's just,
You know what I say to that, guys?
this is goofy.
Women.
What is she doing?
Women.
Women. We're gonna
What the fuck was that? You
Sorry.
sound like you're choking.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Look at the chat.
I know. I see it. You dick. um, and so now Artie's like, okay, so what's gonna happen now? Now Glocta talks about what he thought she meant. What are they gonna do for the rest of the day? So he has a nice day planned, with the lunch and blah blah blah. And then she's like, well, I meant really about the succession with after Reynald's death, who's gonna be the next king? Eh, And Glocta's like, oh, that. Well, it's gonna be a lot of betrayal, deal making, alliance breaking, intrigue, and murder, and because so what happens is there's gonna be a vote in the open council to pick the next king from the noblemen. Correct? Was that a general summary?
Yes.
Yeah. And there's going to be a big game of cajoling, figuring out who's bribing and all that, like you say. Who's going to, who it's going to be. Just like modern politics.
Yeah. Exactly. Harrison, do you want to say anything about this, or do you want me to wait?
No, sorry. I was trying to determine whether I should mention this part now because you guys are talking about more of the plot, and I really liked the Artie Glocker stuff in this part.
Yeah, go for it, bro.
Is how they act with each other. Like it's kind of meant off as a joke, and it's not really thought about, but she's like, what are we gonna do now? And he's like, oh, I was thinking we should go do this, this, and that, and he's like planning out a day, and he's like not joking. And she was like, oh, I was talking about this other thing, but like that's not. She didn't sound like she is saying, oh, we're not doing that. I'm talking about this thing. I think that they have gone out a couple times now and spent the day together and done stuff, and I don't know. I just thought it was a nice little detail of relationship growth in a really subtle way, without it being like oh, we've done this 6 times now.
Yeah.
What should we do today?
Very subtle.
Yeah.
And also I like that she goes to get wine, and it's not, she is satisfied with Glocta, with it just being him without her drinking. I feel like that is significant because that is the only person that we've seen so far where she does not drink to be around, to bear them. Because she drank whenever Wes was around to bear with him with his you're making me look bad, and she drank with Giselle because he's an idiot. And so I just thought it was interesting that she's like, I need to get something to drink, and then he's like, okay, whatever. And once he was cool with it, she realized she didn't actually really want to drink. And when she does touch the bottle a little bit later, she touches it after Glocta leaves. So I just thought that was really subtle character work that I really, really enjoy in this chapter.
A little bit of foreshadowing there.
I always just took Artie to be a chronic alcoholic. But I see what you mean.
He is.
I see what you mean.
Everybody drinks for a reason.
Yeah, that's true. So here they start talking about the whole process of the open council vote, and Artie shows some astute ability, not
Observations.
some pretty astute observations about how the political standing, in terms of the political standing of the noblemen, right? She knows that Brock, Barrizon, Helgen, and Isher.
Huygen.
Those are like the 4 like top contenders. She knows that Meade, after his whole fucking moronic mishaps with the war in the north, he pretty much sunk any chances he had. She throws in a dark horse with the Scald, the Lord Governor of Starkland, and so then they start talking about what could happen if maybe the votes get split enough. And then any illegitimate children of the king might be considered. Apparently, there's a famous paramour of the king back in the day, Carmi Dan Roth, huh?
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. Paramour. Do we have another Dan Roth in the series besides this? It sounds familiar to me.
There's I think it's the artist that goes to the slums with Savine. It's called Zanroth as well.
Oh, okay.
A
okay.
distant relative, perhaps.
Perhaps.
Who's Sabine?
Oh yeah, sorry, no, that doesn't happen. That's not no.
That's right.
What slums? An artist?
There's no slums in Atua.
So apparently, this paramour disappeared suddenly and then was later said to have died from either childbirth or what. No one knows for sure. And you have members from the Open Council all over the union coming, flocking in because they're all trying to get something out of this because they know that in order to make deals, somebody's going to have to give stuff up, whether it's money, titles, land, what have you. And then they talked about the closed council, which is apparently forbidden from getting involved to ensure impartiality. In reality, though, what they're gonna do is they all have somebody that they want to prop up on the throne that they can control and navigate and manipulate. So they're gonna be involved in the backdoor dealing and all that. And then,
But
go ahead.
The thing that they all want would be somebody that they can all manipulate easily.
Right, that keeps power within the closed council instead of now turning over to the noblemen who are not big fans of the closed council after recent events.
No,
Mercers,
not at all.
Spicers.
War.
Right. And then Artie asks about will Glocta's head roll if certain like noblemen, if a certain nobleman becomes the king or whatever. And if Salt's head rolls, then so does his. And this makes Artie sad because she says that he's been kind to her, kinder than anyone else, kinder than she deserves. And Glocta's like, I don't know how to deal with this.
A compliment?
Glocta goes, nonsense. And then there's a knock on the door. Artie isn't inspecting anyone, and Glocta is confused. So the maid goes to answer, comes in, and says, hey, somebody's here for you. Superior Glocta, which is confusing because this is Artie's house. How the fuck would they know that the superior was there, right? So
to be quite frank with you, Jeff, they know.
They all know. Everyone knows. And so Glocta is assuming that it's Severard or Frost or somebody, right? And then the maid says, "Well, he says his name is Malthus," and Glocta is shook. He's like,
yeah, he just starts twitching straight away. He's like, "Oh fuck!
Oh no, this motherfucker's come to collect shit."
And I love how he says, like, the image of the gaunt banker sprang instantly into his mind, holding out a receipt. That's such a good image.
Oh, Artie's over. She asks him, "Is something wrong?" He goes, "No, nothing. Can you just give me a moment?" She goes, "Of course." And then in the middle of her walking out, she pauses and she's like, and she goes and grabs the liquor bottle and glass. She says, "Look, I need something after all that." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm
Don't we all?"
Don't we all? Yeah. And then she leaves. Malthus walks in, and Malthus is not looking the same necessarily. He's looking a little nervous, a little anxious, maybe. And I like how Glocta's like, "Why, Master Malthus, what an almost unbearable honor."
We can
Yeah, go ahead.
We could dispense with the pleasantry, superior.
I
have
his,
no ego to bruise. I prefer to speak plainly.
He doesn't even let Glocta finish asking questions. Glocta says, "Very well, what can I?" And Malthus he goes, "My employers, the banking house of Valentin Balk, are not pleased with your line of investigation." And he's like, "Well, my investigation into what? What was that?"
I like this because he's talking about like he's investigating Prince Reynard, but he's literally just said that to Severard like a few hours ago. It's fucking insane.
Yeah, and he goes, "Harrison, I feel like you wanted to say something."
No, I just love his voice. The voice that Pacey gives him. It's so fitting. He sounds kind of like rodent-like.
Yeah,
but
that is the best way to describe it.
but he
Really?
also does have a certain iron in that rodent voice, and I just think I just really enjoy his mouth as Malthus voice because it's such a good, it's perfect for a banker.
Yeah.
Mm,
So
yeah.
that's all I was gonna, because I was I was gonna interrupt you with his voice and then start laughing because
Okay. So, yeah, basically, Glocta says, he asks them, he goes, my line of investigation into what? And Malthus just straight up says, well, we're talking about the murder of Crown Prince Reynald. And Glocta tries to bullshit. He's like, I can assure you that it's concluded. There's no, and he's like, don't bullshit me. They know. It's easier for you to assume that they know everything. The murder has been solved. Congratulations on how fast you did it. And my employers are happy with those results. The guilty man has been brought to justice. And he goes, what he says is, no one will benefit from your delving any deeper into this unfortunate business. Glocta goes, Well, he's thinking right to himself, this is shady.
Yeah.
He goes,
Stupid
he
shitty.
just says, well, there are just some loose ends that need to be tied. There's no need for them to be angry. And then Malthus, he goes, oh no, they're not angry. You didn't know that they would have been unhappy with this, but now you know. Now, if you continue knowing that they're unhappy, then they would be
Then they
angry.
will be angry. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, we do not want them angry, please. It basically, like, and Glocta's noticing that he's basically pleading. He
Yeah.
looks scared,
Yeah.
right? Glocta
Because
goes,
it's his asset.
yeah, yeah. And Glocta says to him, I like how it's worded because he's like, without scarcely moving his lips, he's like, are you implying that they would inform the Archlector Salt of their little gift to the defense of the Goska? Like that? And it's like, yeah,
That's
that's
the very
exactly.
least of what they would do.
And he goes, okay. He got this, he does that goop swallow. He's like, you may, you may tell your employers there will be no further inquiries.
I love that like cartoon. You're that's so funny. Glocta being fucking Wile Coyote, everyone.
And Malthus is happy with Glocta saying, sure, no, nothing's gonna happen. And Glocta is just left alone in the living room, and he's just like, what just happened? And that's the end of the chapter. Harrison, you alive?
I enjoy this chapter for the character stuff, especially with Artie. Always love the Artie stuff, but I just really enjoy the Glockta Artie stuff. I don't know why. It's built different. And I remember the
Yeah.
first time reading this chapter and thinking, oh my god, this is not the way I expected Valt and Volk to come in. I thought they were gonna come in like, okay, you owe us now. Now you have to kill this person or something,
Mm-hmm.
like that he could never perform. In this case, they actually seem like reasonable in terms of the like oh, he didn't know you were mad, but now that you do know, it's, I don't know, that makes it more scary.
Mm-hmm.
That they're that involved, and a personal matter. Obviously, they wanted to, whoever Valentine and Bulkis wanted to blame whoever to get it out of the way. They want Prince Reynald gone and dusted. That's it. That's all they want. And that was pretty scary the first time reading that. And so I think I'm gonna give this, honestly, an 8 out of 9.
Ooh,
I think it's a really good chapter.
interesting. George, what do you think?
I think I'm gonna go a slightly bit lower. I'm just gonna go for a 7 and a knuckle. For all the reasons you say, but I think it's it is a short one. And there is a lot that a lot of it is just Tolkien's getting gutted, and I feel bad about it. It's a little bit less.
And
Yeah, we can't celebrate Tolkien's getting disemboweled.
Yeah, no.
That sucks. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 9 fingers. I like the chapter. It's good, but it's short. That's pretty much it. But like the
we
intrigue.
know you don't like the short chapters.
Yeah, you know me. I like long chapters about sex or blood.
You
I'm a
red-blooded
simple man.
American.
No, but like you said, Harrison. The character work is good. The dynamic between Artie and Glocta, it's always a great one. We get the return of Malthus, and we see him not happy. He's very tense, very scared, and this lends, like, for someone that Glokta's point of view in Dagorska, this man could not show one hint of emotion down there, and they were under siege. Now, for him to be terrified of his employers like this means that okay, these are serious players over here.
Mm.
But yeah, because Tolkis got murder, death, killed, I cannot celebrate that. So,
See,
yeah.
guys, that's what I was celebrating.
All right, maybe. You are from Oklahoma, so
Who knows what you guys get up to over there?
yeah.
Hey, you know what we do?
What?
We put people in smokers.
What the fuck?
We like to smoke meat over here. You know what I'm saying?
That took a whole different turn. Okay.
That's right. You stay out of Oklahoma, Jeff. You're not welcome here.
Typical Oklahoman right there. No wonder you wanted Tolkis to die.
Hey, my bad. My bad. Jeff, you stay out of Oklahoma.
Okay. Oh. Oh god. All right,
We don't
well.
eat them. We're not animals. Jesus.
Oh my god.
just
All right,
smoke
that's
them.
it. Just smoke them. That's it. Got it. All right, let's move on to our
So
next
that's what it
segment.
means when you say you're gonna smoke
Son of a
someone.
bitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our next segment. Best meme of the week. George, take it away.
Okay. So this week we have a user on Reddit, Husky Criminologist. It's a great name. And it's again, it's the Mr. Incredible meme because it just seems to be like the most popular on House of the Meme Maker at the moment. And it's from Red Country, where it's you're about to kick this no name up and down the circle, and then he smiles at you through a gap where his ring finger should be. So we all know how that goes. So yeah, thank you very much for that.
That's a good one. That is a good one. And who was that again?
Husky Criminologist.
Husky Criminologist. Well, thank you for that. Thank you very much for that. All right, so let's move on to our second chapter read through, and this is The Abode of Stones. And this one, well, a culmination of our fellowship and their quest. So, we start off with Giselle's point of view, and they're in a rowboat, or a little boat that I guess is detached from a larger ship, and it just nuzzles up to the bank of the island of Shabalion.
This is Jeff's series of interesting ways to pronounce that. Fucking hell.
Shabulian, right?
Jeff,
Shabulian?
yeah. If you speak louder, it doesn't make it easier to understand.
So they make it to the island of Shabulian, and at the edge of the world, there's 4 oarsmen that have brought them to this island. Baya's like, hey, you guys want to go ashore? And they're like, nah, we're good. We'll just wait for you right here in this boat. We'll right here in the shallow water. Suit yourself. I was like, all right. And they all go, and they start clambering into knee-deep shallow water, and then onto the beach, and what have you. And it's cold as bricks. The wind is just tearing at their faces, and it's literally nothing but rocks everywhere. And how does one hide a stone, right? Where's the Baya says? He goes, where does the wise man hide a stone? Among 1,000, among 1,000,000, and there's a shitload. Right?
It's raining. I mean, hey, it's pretty smart, you just hide it among everything else. I mean, if I was gonna hide a pyramid, I'd put it with the other pyramids in Egypt.
Yeah. I totally get
Yeah.
Yeah. So
this is an best analogy.
I tell you, it doesn't really make sense though, because we find out in a bit it's because it's been given to a spirit. It's not like you could just leave the seed there, and because you get close and it'd fucking kill you.
True.
Well, I'm not sure it would kill you.
Bayaz thinks he's being clever here, but he's not.
Well, that's a good point. But also, I would say that the spirit might not kill you. It probably won't kill you, judging by how they act.
No, I mean, the seed itself.
The seed.
Oh, the sea.
Like if he literally did just hide it there on Trabulian, like among the rocks, then
He just fucking
you
throws it on the
you
ground.
you just like, just leave it there. That's fine.
Right.
Anyways.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. So Logan is like, hey, we need to. Now it's Logan's perspective. It's like, hey, we need to get a fire going because if you want me to speak to a spirit, I need fire. They find a little hollow between two boulders, so they're making their way to it. Logan kind of like looks at Pharaoh for real quickly, and she doesn't smile back or anything. He's like, this one just there's no like I don't understand. Like we bang every night, but she doesn't smile. She doesn't crack any jokes. Nothing. And he's like, whatever. But as the sad fact was that she is the best thing about his life right now, which is pretty sad. When
No, it's pretty
fucking
sad.
Pink is like an important part of your life right now.
Yeah, it sounds like sounds like a therapist commercial. Do you sleep with your partner every night, but they still call you a stupid fucking Pink?
Seek help.
just seek help. No number or anything, just that.
Nah.
Stop.
Just get
Stop.
the fuck out.
Get
Get
some
the fuck out.
Stop it. Don't do that.
Get out. Get out. All right. So they start getting a fire ready. Pharaoh cuts the wood off of like some little small tree outside. And they break out the box that's supposed to contain the seed. They're all getting ready. And hold on. What the fuck? All right.
What
and,
the fuck?
in this box, there's like metal coils, leaving a little space right in the middle of the box. And Baez says that it's meant to cushion whatever's inside. Like it so stays, nice and still and well cushioned. And Logan asks him, like, it needs to be cushioned. Goes, Canadians thought so. So I don't know. So Baez goes, Canadians thought so. I don't know. Anyway, Pharaoh, once you get it, put it inside this box as soon as possible because we don't want to die. So yeah. So everyone's getting ready. They're nervous. Luthor and Longfoot, they're just scrambling towards the back of the little hollow because they don't want to get too close to this. Kwai doesn't give a fuck. Logan sits cross-legged, has the fires in front of him, and then Logan says, "Oh, something to offer them will help." But then Bias is already handing him a flask, and Logan says, "You had this entire fucking time?" And Bias goes, "Yes, for this exact purpose." He's like, "Wish I would have known." He's like, "Well, you can put it to good use now." All right. So he takes a swig, swirls it around his mouth a little bit, and then, spits it out, and great gout of flame. And Bias goes, "So what now?" Logan goes, "Well, we just wait. We just wait until," and the spirit answers almost immediately, which doesn't really happen. And he goes, "That was quick." And the spirit here goes, "I have been waiting." You guys want to talk about this little interaction here between the spirit and Logan?
So I absolutely love the description for the voice for the spirits. Like the same with the first one, we had like the wind through the leaves and the sounds of the forest making up the sounds of the voice, and now it's like the rocks and the stones falling and the sea draining through gravel. And I think that's such an awesome sort of description, even if the voice in the audiobook doesn't quite hold up to that, because it is kind of just 9 fingers.
Yeah,
But I absolutely love the actual conversation as well. Like, I love how the spirit just looks at Baez and he goes, "Well, it's not as tall as Juvens."
like everybody always talks about this. Oh, you're shorter than I thought you were.
Yeah.
Bai's like, "Oh, please, size doesn't matter," but he always makes his statues big. We talked about that before.
Yeah.
And I like how Giselle is like, "Do you see anything?" And Longfoot, he says, "Nothing. It is indeed a most remarkable." And Baez goes, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah.
And yeah, and he does. He goes, "He is shorter than Juvens. I do not like his look."
Yeah. And Baez is like, "What was he talking about?" Like, he said that Juvens was tall.
He's like, "Yes." Also, I really like the appearance of the spirit. How it's like you said, it sounds like it's It's all about the rocks, and like it seems to be made out of rocks in its appearance, which is kind of cool.
Hmm.
It makes you wonder if the spirit was always here, or like they brought a spirit with them that was like, yeah, this one fits.
Yeah, and the spirit's just like, oh, come on.
Yeah. Oh, you know who's gonna be good for this one? Larry. Get Larry. He's coming with us.
He's gonna fit right in.
Larry the Rock Guy.
So he talks to it for a bit, and it's basically like, all right, I need that stone now, and it's like, okay, I see that staff. Yes, I recognize Juven's staff. Here you go. This has been a really heavy burden, and I'm really glad to get rid of it. For such a long time, I've had it. And then takes it out, and everyone's like, as it takes it out of its center, because it like appears out of nowhere to everybody else.
Right, because Pharaoh has her hand out, right?
Yeah.
Because Logan says, "Hold your hands out," and Pharaoh is just holding it. And then, like you said, Harrison, continue.
He pulls it out of its body, and everyone just sees a rock appear into Pharaoh's hand, and then everybody has like these different reactions. It's like Giselle's like kind of scared, and then Baez is like backing away, and fucking Longfoot's like in awe of such insane magical feats. And everyone's like scared and afraid, and Quiet's like, oh my god, he's all like all up in her business, like a dog trying to sniff for food, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, wait a minute, and then Bias walks up to it, and he's like very scared.
Well,
and,
that's
like, reaches over.
because Pharaoh at first, remember, she goes, "This is it. This is the thing that will turn Shafa to dust."
Yeah.
And it just has like, it did in fact, now that Giselle's overcoming the shock of its sudden appearance, look nothing more than like a stone.
Go ahead, Harrison, about Baez.
Yeah, Bias reaches over and is like prodding it at first, like, is this real? Like touching it and backing away. He touches it and like backs away, and then reaches out to touch it again, and is like scared. And then he's like, and then he puts his hand on it. He's like, oh, and then he picks it up. Oh, like it's no problem. And he's like, oh my god, this isn't it. And the spirit was like, I'm gonna go to sleep now as soon as it gave the stone away. So Bias is like, there's got to be some kind of. Everybody's like, there's got to be some kind of mistake. Everyone starts getting pissed off because they realize it really is just the rock.
Yeah.
And Logan's like, nope, there's no mistake. That's it. That's the thing that it gave me. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. Even Kwai's upset. Kwai's eyes were bulging from his ashen face, like, but how? And Baez he's just ignoring everybody. He's like, Canadius, it's him. He has found some way to trick us. Even in death, the Maker denies me.
Fucking Cookie Monster Bias voice is the best.
I know. Okay. And so Pharaoh just repeats, just a stone. And Giselle starts she starts muttering. He's like, wait a minute. I gave up the chance to fight for my country, and I traveled hundreds of miles across this godforsaken wasteland, and I was beaten and broken and left scarred for nothing. And then Kwai's just still like unnecessary, like unusually pissed. Like, the seed, where is it? No, not here. But Baez goes, if I knew that, do you think we'd be sitting here like fucking morons?
Yeah, on this fucking godforsaken island.
Yeah, and then Logan tries to, Logan's over here. He says, well, it's not here. So say one thing for it. And then Pharaoh goes, just a stone! You fucking old liar! You promised me vengeance! And then here, Baez has just had enough. He looks at all of them. He's like, you think I give a fuck about your vengeance? Or your disappointment to Giselle? Or your fucking...
Kwai.
Oh, no, to Kwai. And then to Giselle, he goes, your fucking looks? He's like, I have been tricked! What now?
What now will I fight Kalu? And then Brother Longfoot decides to take this moment to like lift the mood up a bit. He's like, we should not be downhearted, my comrades. The journey is its own reward. And he's like, say that one more time.
Say that once more.
only once more, and I will make ashes of you.
Poor Longfoot. Poor Longfoot. Oh my
He
god.
just shut the fuck up immediately.
And then Logan's like, well then,
But then
I reckon
Baez-
that's it.
Wait, but Baez leaves. He just snatches his staff and he dips, and then yeah, right, because everyone got a little bit quiet and awkward. It's like, okay.
It's like, well then, I reckon that's it. No point crying about it. You have to be.
Shut your fucking mouth, fool.
Yeah, Pharaoh's not happy.
Don't tell me what I have to be.
And then,
Can I just talk about this for a second? I love the fact that we've come all this way and it's just not there. I think that's so fucking funny. I remember the first time I read this, I was like, what? What do you mean it's not there? And every time I read it afterwards, it just gets funnier and funnier. 'Cause it's the ultimate trope of, the MacGuffin. We've got to go and go on a quest for the MacGuffin that's going to save the world, and then it's just not fucking there.
Also, I love how Giselle's his little thought about this is perfect. It was that ill-tempered outburst. Giselle supposed that their quest was declared an utter failure.
complete and
Simple
utter
as that.
failure. That's it.
That is it. It's an utter failure. And I feel sorry for the spirit as well. Imagine you're sitting there for 3,000 years holding this stone and you think it's like the devil. It's just a fucking rock.
He thinks it's the medieval equivalent to a fucking nuclear warhead. Turns out
it's just a rock.
it's just a specimen from a geology class. Like, what?
He's about to fade away. He's like, oh, I can sleep now. And it's like, just a stone? And he's like, what? Motherfucker, what? Summon me back!
Or imagine the spirit was in on it, and then right before he goes to sleep, all he hears is Baez's voice, "The Maker has denied me!" And he just starts sniggering to it. He's like, and they just go to sleep. Imagine the ultimate troll.
He closes his eyes. He's like, Canadius, you son of a bitch. You did it again.
But at the end of this paragraph, Giselle was upset, but then as he's getting ready to go, they're making their way back to the boat, he realizes, well, success or failure in this quest didn't really mean anything to him, because now he's on his way back home. So our boy, Giselle, is actually happy as shit.
Good for Giselle.
Good for Giselle. And then a bit of a time jump later, right? We're on the boat. We're on the big boat now, I assume. And everyone's gone below decks because they're pissy, except for Giselle. Giselle is not pissy, but he did go below decks. Now it's just Logan and Pharaoh, and they're looking over the rails out onto the sea. And Logan he asks Pharaoh, "What are you gonna do now?" And Pharaoh immediately responds without thinking, "Wherever I can kill the Gurkish, I will find other weapons and fight them wherever I can. Nothing has changed. I still need vengeance." Even though she says during this little part, she doesn't even feel the hatred. It's hard for her to feel it. But that's just what she knows is what to say. And it's just silence. And she kind of looks down. She looks over at Nine Fingers, and he doesn't look happy, as if like her answer was not what he wanted to hear. And Pharaoh admits that it would have been easy for her to change it and to say, "I'll go where you go." And who would have been worse off? No one, right? But Pharaoh didn't have it in her to put herself in his power like that, which is understandable considering what she's gone through.
Yeah.
So all she does is, she can just say, "Is like, what are you gonna do?" And he goes, "I guess I'll just go back to the north. There's stuff there I should have settled. Settle some more
and just kill some people. It's do the Bloody Nine stuff. That's what I am. Whatever."
Yeah.
And here's another trope that I like. It's the couple that don't communicate with each other. Like they could easily just say a few words different, and everything would work out nicely. But because they're both stubborn assholes,
right,
they just don't.
Right.
Well, communication is so important in a relationship, and I like that that's highlighted here because like they haven't actually truly communicated other than like on a primal level, and that's the weakness, and there it is, and they're done now because of that.
Yeah. I mean, and funny thing is, like, Logan turns around and he's about to say something, and I think we're about to see Logan actually try to convince Pharaoh to just go with him to wherever the fuck where.
No, vice versa. I think he was about to say, "I'll go where you go," like she was about to just say.
Oh, possibly. Just
As
whatever.
yeah,
Like, but he didn't. But then I guess he just kind of like thought, "What's the point?" And
Yeah.
then just walks away.
Yeah,
And
because they both think that
Mm.
the other one, that their vengeance is the most important, even though they both know that in themselves that it isn't,
Yep.
right, and this is
which is
pretty
really
heartbreaking.
sad.
Yeah, it's pretty heartbreaking. Pharaoh says that the Gurkish had killed, like, did not have it in her to have just like said things differently, to have w- wanted some kind of different outcome. And it said that the Gurkish had killed that part of her far away and long ago. And it's like, hope is for the weak is the last line. And that is just, oh, God.
God, poor Pharaoh.
It's like two. I always read this chapter, even not from the first time, but every time after, and I'm always thinking like, just I don't know. It's like two addicts who fucking just both relapse at the same time. They were both relying on each other, and rather than actually fixing the cause issue of their mental health, they just fucking were both like, "Oh, look, we feel different now because we're around different people and because we're a different place." And yeah, I feel better. That must be the solution. But whenever it actually push comes to shove, they didn't actually fix their own problems.
Right.
So they revert back as soon as something changes, as soon as they have the opportunity to go back. Now, they doesn't mean they both don't want to change, but not enough.
Well, that's the end of our chapter for Logan, Pharaoh, Giselle, Baez, Quai, and Brother Longfoot.
See you next book, guys.
Well, yeah, see them next book. What do you guys rate this chapter?
I'm gonna give it a 9.
Damn!
Yeah, just
shit.
because of that one, because of the whole combination of the quest being absolutely fucking pointless. I think that's so good. It's the defining moment in this series when you realise, and you're like, oh, Joe's just fucking with us here.
Oh shit!
I think it's
okay.
excellent. And then you get the fantastic little and heartbreaking relationship between Logan.
Right. Okay. Harrison.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 9 because, like you said, it's like the moment when you realize, like you said, Joe's just fucking with you because he is. It's whenever you realize, oh, this is built different. It's from this point on, like from beforehand, you can be, oh, I think I know what's gonna happen. I know. And even the battle, like, oh, I can see Three Trees dying. Like, oh, he's the old wise guy. Okay. But from this point on, the entire series is, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen because of this instance, and it changes the entire way it plays out. But the only reason I'm not giving it a 9 is because it is just this moment, and even though it's really good for the series, that's why.
No, I agree with Harrison. I'm giving this an 8. It's a great chapter, and like the both of you said, this is the point where we realize Joe isn't your typical fantasy author, which I think we all enjoy that. Just a bit too short for me to give it a 9. Just a couple more pages, I would have done. I would have gave it a 9. I'm sorry, I would have. Thank you for that, fellas. Now let's move on to our character spot, which is the spirit. Just kidding. Who's taking the character spot?
Yeah. So our character spot is Tolkis. We did 2 of them last week because there are 2 characters. They both died in a battle. So this week we're gonna do Tolkis, as he was a good man, and he is like, the first time that Glocka is like, he started to feel a little bit with Carlot because Carlot was trying to be a good person, and this time he just feels like this. You just know he feels like shit. He's like thinking about it, like, God damn it, really? And then the fact that I think it gets to him, the fact that he was helpless in that situation. And Tulkas himself, you know, like he said, he was a courageous man. He came there knowing how the Union sees his people, knowing how apparently the Prophet probably didn't like him going. He is very strategical, diplomacy wise. He has loved ones that died by the Union, yet he still came. And he was smart, and it's just a shame to see somebody like that die for basically for no reason other than
Right.
just cause more bloodshed, which he saw coming.
I completely agree with what Harrison's saying. Like, it's so sad to see this guy that's like so dutiful and genuinely wants the right thing for everyone to get fucked over in such a brutal, horrible way. Especially when we have the confirmation from Glock that he probably was innocent, and there's this whole fucking ham-fisted thing to set him up with the blood on his robe that he just left in the fucking closet, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost a pretty near guarantee that Tulkas is innocent. And why would he kill Reynaud? But he's pursuing peace between the Union and Gurkle so much.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, he's just a fantastically written character, and it's just being the exact opposite of Islik earlier in the book. It's a great little parallel there, and I like that.
Mm-hmm. He made a big impact in a short amount of time, or at least a small amount of screen time, page time, whatever you want.
Oh
to call
god, yeah.
Yeah. As soon as as Glocta had him in the room to confess, and he told him like, "Yo, you're accused of killing Crown Prince Reynaud." He said he said he was innocent, but he didn't lose his mind. He almost like tried to pull Glocta in and like whisper to him like, "Listen, the prophet does not want peace. So they probably did this. There are things that you just don't understand. There are things outside of the control." Excuse me. God damn it. Fucking hate coming over a goddamn cold. Tulkas was aware of all the political intrigue that surrounded the agents of the prophet and whatever is going on with the Union in terms of the beef there. And he knew that peace was not something that those two entities truly wanted, but is what's necessary to preserve, I guess you could say, humanity in the circle of the world. Didn't really give a shit about his own life, but peace needed to be the end game.
Yeah, I do like the fact that he didn't. It's sort of hinted that he didn't immediately confess like some people.
Right.
Like he didn't. It did take a lot for him to actually sign the thing.
Yeah.
Which is it's a lot more than we've seen from a lot of people in under Glocta's administration.
Yeah.
I feel like too, like he did it for a different reason. Like he didn't want to give up because that's not why he came. Like he wanted to come to make peace, and he knew as soon as he gave up that signed the confession, then that would all be lost. I feel like that was more his play, and that's probably why he held out for longer, because it wasn't about his own self-preservation. It was about the preservation of
The
peace
nation.
and the nation. Yeah, which makes it even more sad.
Mm-hmm. So rest in peace, Tulkas. You were a badass, and you'll always be our favorite Gurkish emissary.
Too good for this world.
Too good. I'm starting to notice a pattern here, guys, and I'm not liking it. Anyway, so we'll move on to our third chapter read through, which is back to the mud. We are with our favorite and only Northern Dozen, Dogman and Dow, Tull and Grim, West.
There's only 4 left.
Yeah.
There's only 4.
And we have Colonel West. Was it Major West or Colonel West? I keep forgetting.
Colonel West.
Colonel West.
He's been a colonel for this entire book.
Whatever. Colonel West. Wait, I thought he got promoted
At the end of Blade itself.
No. He got promoted right before him and Burr got kidnapped by by 3 trees.
In fact, George, he is correct. This time, Jeffrey.
Yeah. And we have Sergeant Pike, and they're in a circle, and they're looking at 2 piles of dirt. And we know who's in them. And we know that Shivers and his Carls, they're not too far away throughout the trees. They're burying 12 of their own men, which is like a little bit like around half of what the original group was, right?
Yeah, they had like a couple dozen.
Yeah, there was 2 score or something like that, right?
Which is 40, so yeah, nearly half.
Nearly half. And they're burying, their guys, and then now it's time to Talk
some
to say some
words.
words now. So for Cathal, uh, it's gonna be Dogman. At first, Toll says something though. He goes, "They're buried where they died. That's fitting. That's good." And then we have Dow, and he is like, "Good, good. Is it safest place in the whole battle, huh, Wes? Safest play."
Yeah.
Which it's such a every single time Dow opens his mouth, it is Dow. Like it's so unique and it's never out of character. Even when he does
Right.
something different, it's still so much in character for him.
Right, right. And Wes can't even say anything. He just kind of looks down and he just looks guilty. Toll's, he says, "All right, come on, man. Come on. You know better than that. It's not his fault. It's a battle. This happens." And then
Yeah.
Dow goes, he's like, "We could have been somewhere else." But then Dogman goes, "We could have been, but we weren't, and that's it. It is what it is. There's no changing it, is there? So we don't need you adding to the burden of 3 trees and the girl being dead. And that's hard enough for everyone." And Dow, it looks like he's about to start screaming some more, but then he just kind of just like takes like a long breath, his shoulders just slump, and he goes, "You're right. Nothing to be done." It's like, oh God.
Yeah, it's actually sad because he's heartbroken too.
Yeah. Dogman asks Pike if he wants to say something about Cathal, but Pike can't even. He just shakes his head. He doesn't even really talk much. And West is not saying anything. So it's up to the Dogman now. And what he says here is pretty nice, right? It just, concise paragraph. But he says, "This girl we buried here, Cathal was her name. Can't say I knew her too long or nothing, but what I knew I liked, for what that's worth. Not much, I reckon, not much. But she had some bones on her. No, she had some bones to her. I guess we all saw that in the way north. Took the cold and the hunger and the rest and never grumbled. Wish I'd known her better. Hope to, but, well, don't often get what you hope for. She weren't one of us, really, but she died with us. So I reckon we're proud to have her in the ground with ours." And everyone's just proud of that. Dow, he's like, "Yep, proud to have her." Toll, "Yep, same here." Ground takes everyone the same. Right? That was pretty nice little paragraph.
Mm.
Yeah, Dogman's pretty good at this winging this stuff.
Yeah, he's just winging it, right? And then he goes, "Does anyone want to speak up for 3 trees?" And here's a bit tougher, right? Dow's like, "I don't know. I don't know."
Dow's looking all sheep, like looking at his feet, like moving his feet. It's like
Yeah.
a little toddler, like
Yeah. Toll is like looking up at the sky. Looks like his
Already
eyes a little bit
crying.
wet. Yeah. And Dogman's about to cry himself. He's like, "Oh fuck." He's like, "Oh shit, is it gonna be me?" I guess it's gonna have to be me. But then Harding Grimm takes a step forward. Who wants to talk? Who wants to do this? Somebody's got to do
I love how this is his longest sentence in the whole trilogy.
this.
Spoiler. But he's like,
Go
and
ahead.
it's very simple. He just goes, Rod 3 trees, Rock of Ulfrith, they called him. No bigger name in all the North. Great fighter, great leader, great friend. Lifetime of battles. Stood face to face with the Bloody Nine, then shoulder to shoulder with him. Never took an easy path if he thought it was the wrong one. Never stepped back from a fight if he thought it had to be done. I stood with him, walked with him, and fought with him for 10 years all over the North. And I've got no complaints. Oh. God damn, does that not bring a tear to your eye?
That's fantastic.
Especially since it's the Graham doesn't really show that much emotion, so he does here, and it's
And he's just grateful for the time that he spent with 3 trees.
Graham has like one of the healthiest views, not just in the book series, but of everybody, which is you've enjoyed the time that you have with people and moments.
Gotta love Grimm here. Grimm, just. I'm sorry, I got distracted. I can't.
It's okay. What I had said was after that, we were quiet for a minute. Is that Grimm has a very healthy view on life, not just in the book series, but in real life, and that is you just enjoy and appreciate the time you have with others and the moments you get to live. As simple as that.
Okay, that's what you said. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, Grimm's got a very positive outlook, and he Dow is just like, "Good words, good words." And he's just looking down the ground. Toll's like, "There'll be no one loves like 3 trees. He's just wiping his eye. And then
Ain't that the truth?
Dogman can't even do anything except just say, I. And
And I like how this immediately turns to right. Who's going to be the new chief?
right, because yeah, West just turns and he just walks away because you just know he's beating his blaming himself. And then Shivers is coming over here and he goes, all right, fellas, don't mean no disrespect, none at all, but need a new chief. And then Dow's already like, the fuck? We just buried him.
Yeah.
And Shivers goes, oh, I'm sorry, but it's the best time to discuss it so that there's no confusion. His fellas they're getting a bit restless, to be honest, and they've lost friends, and now you lost 3 trees, and they need someone to look up to. So who's it gonna be? And then Dogman, he's just tired of everything. He lost Cathal, he lost 3 trees, he's lost Logan, as far as he knows. He's just exhausted. He just looks at Dow and Toll. He's like, look, I don't care which one of you guys it is. I don't give a shit. I'll follow either one of you, but it's got to be one of you guys. So just let me know.
Yeah. Black
And then-
Dow's like, well, he's not going to follow me. And Toll's like, well, I'm not going to follow him.
And then
Black
like,
Dow's just like, well, that's why it's got to be you, Dogman. And he's like, that's why what now?
yeah, because they've already talked it out. And then apparently, yeah, I love that's why what now? That is such a fantastic sentence. I love that. And then Toll's like, you're the chief. We've already agreed to it. And then Grimm's like, And it's like, so that means he agreed. And then Dow's like, 9 fingers is gone, 3 trees is gone. That leaves you. And then Dogman's just confused, and he looks at Shivers. He's expecting Shivers to be like, this fucking guy. But apparently Shivers just goes, good choice. I like that. Speaking for me and my lads, that's who I was going to suggest. All right, I'll let him know. And he just leaves. And then Dogman's pissed. He's like, what the fuck? What about those other ones? There's 20 fucking Carls down there. They need a name to follow, an actual name. And then Toll's like, you got a name. You came across the mountains with 9 fingers. You fought all those years with him in Bethod. There ain't no other big names. There's no other bigger name than yours left standing. You've seen more battles than any of us, which I guess might be true, right? And and Dogman's he keeps getting interrupted. He's like, seen him maybe, but then Dow goes, you're the one, and that's all. He's like, all right, so you're not the hardest motherfucker since Scarlet. So what? Your hands are bloody enough for me to follow, and there's no better scout alive. You know how to lead. You've seen the best at it. You've seen 9 fingers and Bethod and 3 trees. You've watched them all, and you've been closest you can possibly be.
Yeah, it's kind of great too because the Dogman is like he said, he's not the toughest bastard and he's not the hardest bastard, but like the toughest and hardest bastards that are around say, well, listen, you're the guy we want to follow. You're like you're the next best thing. Yeah, you're not 3 trees, but who the fuck isn't? Right.
Yeah, and Dogman says like I couldn't make no one charge the way 3 trees did, and Toll's like, duh, no one could, but 3 trees we don't have him anymore. So you're chief now, and we'll stand behind you. And he goes, any man who don't care to do as you tell him can speak to us. And then Dow goes, that'll be one short ass conversation. And that's it. It's decided. You're the chief. It's decided. That's it. And then Toll, Dow, and Grimm just leave him. Just walk away. Like so they're not gonna argue with him anymore. And the Dogman's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what just happened?
What happened? And then he kind of like falls to his knees, right between the graves, and he puts his hands on the soil, and he's just like, fuck. He goes, for Cathal's grave, he's like, he says sorry. She didn't deserve this. And then, same thing for 3 trees. Like, fare you well. I'll try to do what you'd have done. Back to the mud, old man. And then he just gets up, wipes his hand on his shirt, and he walks away back to the living. And just like,
leaves him behind.
God damn it! And
he still carries them. He said he left 2 parts of himself behind.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you said that. He said that earlier, I believe. Yeah. Ugh.
What an end to the book, eh, guys?
Seriously, what an end. What an end. What do you guys rate this chapter?
Do you want to go first, Jeff?
I'm giving this an 8 and a knuckle.
Oof. Oof.
I mean, come on. Seeing emotion from the Northmen, these hard bastards, and then it's three trees. The last we see of three trees is under some goddamn dirt, and then we get a paragraph out of Grimm, and we get everyone giving compliments to Dogman and validating his true self-worth.
Yeah.
Even someone like Dow, and you know that's big if Dow does it. And it ends on a somber note, which for some reason I really like. So
I like that as well, Jeff. I'm gonna concur with you. I'm gonna give it an 8 and a knuckle as well.
thank you, Georgie.
What about you, Harrison?
I'm gonna go for a threesome here. I'm gonna 8 and a knuckle.
Yay! Trifecta! Boom, 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 boom.
I just think it's a very emotional part, and there's not really many of those in the series. All in all, and each time they have them, and there's been a few more in this book, it really hits home, because it just feels, these characters already feel real enough, and to have like them leave the story does feel like, you can feel the way the characters are feeling about those people, even though they're just these side characters. Like, Cather's only in this book, and not even for the whole thing, and is gone. And then Through Trees we've only been around with him a couple of times and don't even know that much about him, but it still hits home, and that's very impressive writing. And also, as a side note, I think it's interesting that the Northmen are slightly democratic. It's not always the strong that leads.
That's true.
Yeah,
They
that's
do
true.
this. And technically, if you think about this, the reason Bethod was legitimized was not because he conquered everybody, but because he got 400 or 500 named men to bend the knee to him.
All right, moving on. We'll complete this episode with our community interaction segment. Harrison, take it away.
So I got back to a poll, and I plan on doing probably like a little series of this to see some different ideas and such. But I put down, where do you want to live? I meant the north, as I only put places in the north. I think everybody got that, thankfully. I didn't have anybody being like, well, what about Adjua? So that was nice. But what I put down was Ufrith, east of the Carina, the high places, a village in a valley. It's completely whichever one. Carleon or the Great Northern Library.
I want to know who the 7 motherfuckers were who said east of the Crenna. You
They're the
crazy
edge
bastard.
lords. Yeah, they're like, I would survive. I would become chief of the Easterners. Better watch out for the 7. Those guys are fucking nuts.
Oh my god.
78 people voted for Ufrith. 21 for the high places. Those are part of the people who were like, man, I love mountains.
Man, I love mountains.
30 voted for a village in a valley. 32 voted for Carleon. And 314 voted for the Great Northern Library.
Yeah, it's fucking landslide, wasn't it?
Yeah, which I guess makes sense. But here's the thing: is everyone I think was thinking about it in the most safest sense, which is totally fine and reasonable. But like, Bias is in charge there, and like, you probably aren't really allowed to leave.
Yeah.
Probably not.
You don't really have freedom. Yeah, sure, he's gone sometimes, but then you risk somebody sneaking back in, or you risk the place not being taken care of, and yeah, it's very defensible. It's very safe. It's definitely the safest place of all these, but it's definitely not the most free. Which, I mean, I guess it goes to speak to the human way of things, as we like to trade safety for freedom, and many times, most of us would say we trade most of our freedom for safety. I mean, I would, honestly. So
yeah,
you
I
would
can't
trade
really blame 'em.
you would trade your freedom for safety?
No one wants to say that, but that is how we function,
Well,
I
up to a
guarantee all
certain
these,
extent.
up to
mean,
a certain extent, right? It is a philosophical argument that we'll keep giving up more freedoms in order to guarantee more convenience and relaxation and safety. but we don't really know what that line is. But obviously, humans reach a breaking point. But I actually picked a village in a valley. I don't know about you guys. What would you guys have picked?
I went for Uthryth. Because, there's like, you might get conquered every now and again, but, it's just
Uthryth-
life
everybody-
in the north,
Uthryth
isn't
sound-
it?
Uthryth
Yeah,
sounds good to
exactly.
me. Uthryth sounds good to me.
But
'Cause
not to shame
every
anybody.
description of Carleon we get sounds shit. It just sounds crap.
Yeah.
Well, not
Well,
the
it just
new
sounds-
Carleon, right? Not the new one.
the new one.
Not
The-
the new Carleon.
Hey,
The new
Carleon.
and
Wall.
improved, not the new and improved Carleon that spoilers has glass. So
Whoa.
whoa,
I'm thinking more about
Holy
the
shit.
attitudes of the people that live there, because it's like Uthryth just
Oh.
seems like a town full of like normal people, like
Yeah,
farmers, fishermen, and Carleon's just like there's just a bunch of assholes,
that
Yeah,
and it's
that-
just like the
yeah.
kings, the
Yeah.
fucking dickheads and whatever.
Yeah.
Kings, dickheads.
Yeah, and you've got to stay out of the way of like it's cunts like Greenway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. And it's like wait.
Don't be a cunt, Greenway.
I can't wait till we get to that. Yeah, I think Uthryth sounds pretty nice too. I mean, I definitely think a village in a valley because you'd have a certain amount of freedom, and yeah, you could get fucking drafted or whatever, but like, and you could get Shanka attacking you, I guess, but like at a certain point after Bethod, it's fairly, and yeah, you say, oh, Black Dow. What if you? I said any village in any valley. You could live in an obscure village in any valley. So I don't know, but Uthryth does have the sea, so that's nice.
That's true. Yeah.
That was a good poll. I like.
Good job,
That's a
Harrison.
good idea.
Good job.
Thanks, guys. So I'll probably do some other places here soon. So
I can't wait to see when you do the Gurkle one for like the 8 people that vote for fucking living in the Temple of Sarkhan because they're fucking mad. Mad fuckers.
It's
Oh,
the same
that's
7
hilarious.
people, George. It's gonna be the same 7. I'm like, my God, maybe they are like eaters or something.
Oh man, that's funny. That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you know, this is a passion project for the 3 of us, and your support really does mean a lot to us.
Join us next week as we do a special episode where we all actually get to have the podcast in person.
And make sure you follow us on social media. We're on Reddit, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, and we have a website. It's circleoftheworld.com.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any podcast app that you use. And please make sure to rate and review this podcast as it helps to spread our reach. Thank you all again for listening.
Where does the wise man hide a stone?